What's up, Kingdom of Rock?
Here we
It's
are.
Matt Gibson, Michael Melinda, and we're flying solo. Well, duo. We're flying duo today.
My right hand just disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, wait.
There. Okay. Both my hands are here. Thank goodness.
Now you see it. Now you don't. So, well, we're here today. It's Thursday and 5 p.m. and we're always here on Thursdays. But we wanted to take a little bit of time and kind of hang on a second. I got technical difficulties here. Okay. All right. So we wanted to take a little time and kind of discuss some of the concepts that we've been talking about on the last few shows about post-COVID touring. And we've had a few people on the show that we discussed various aspects of that. And so Mike and I today, we're going to kind of do a back and forth and see what we can come up with the post-COVID touring thing. So, obviously, go ahead, Mike.
Hi, Toby.
Oh, hey, Toby. That's right. So, it's obviously it's going to be a challenge, and people are starting to go out and take risks and make make an effort to get out there, And I actually saw a question on the YouTube video from yesterday with Steve Ferlazzo, where somebody was, kind of asking, are bands going to be willing to pay or play these venues at minimum, reduced capacities? And, I was thinking about that, and it's like, I guess it's probably going to depend on the venue, because the way that they're going to pay people, because, some venues are going to pay people a flat fee, like a marketing fee, just so that they could be there and attract people back to their restaurant, so, or their venue or whatever it is, but, I don't know, Mike, what do you think about, all of that?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good question. I mean, I think if you're the Rolling Stones and you're playing in a small club or even a bigger club, and you're saying, okay, only, 500 people could show up. I mean, there's certainly an audience out there that would, could possibly pay $1,000 to be amongst 500 people seeing their own personal Rolling Stones concert.
Right.
But I don't think for local bands or tribute acts or things like that, it seems kind of tough. Of course, like on the local scene, as you know, Matt, it's not like there's a big crew. There's the sound person, maybe a lighting person, there's the bar. So as long as you pay the bartender, the sound person, and even if there is a lighting person for a small venue, you're okay, So having 20% capacity in that club might work out. Maybe the ticket prices get jacked up $5. Hopefully people are, wanting to see live music to the extent where, I'll pay an extra $5 to go and see the band, and knowing that that's going to help pay the crew, et cetera, et cetera. But it's an interesting concept, because we all know that the economics don't work out.
Yeah, the math problem is a bad one. It's like you have to have people to attend to make it worth it. But it's kind of the old argument that I heard from a lot of musicians, throughout my life is, venue owners, they don't pay bands fairly, and it's it takes, you see this thing, it takes 10 years to learn how, and 10,000 hours and $10 million worth of equipment to make a musician, and then you pay them $100 for a gig, so it's kind of like at a certain level of maybe entry level regional bands, they're not no one's ever been really happy about what they're getting from gigs, venue, at bars and places like that. I don't know. Do you think it's going to change do you think COVID is going to change the way that venues look at the value of musicians?
Well, probably not. But I mean, I kind of look at it a different way. I mean, I think that, the club, they put a PA system in, they've got a sound person, they've got a fixed cost, plus they have to sell X amount of drinks. So if they're like opening their doors and saying, yeah, you can play here, but you're going to get a percentage of the door or whatever it's going to be. And when we're talking about more like original bands playing, small clubs and stuff like that.
Right.
It's really the band's responsibility to have an audience, and if they don't, they don't. Or the band, strikes up a relationship with another band that has a larger following, and therefore they hope to build theirs, which is the same thing as it was back in the 60s, But I think that, I don't necessarily look at the club owners to pay us a decent wage. I think that when you get to the point where you can really fill that club, well, at that point, there's some negotiation going on. It's like, like if Zepparella plays a club, they're getting, a guarantee because they're going to sell out that venue probably. It's a lot different than a beginning band who has no draw and is going to make $12 if they're lucky.
Well, I guess it's a chicken or the egg question, is the venue, is the venue undervaluing musicians by paying them a certain wage because they don't have draw, and the new musician wants to grow their fan base. And so their win is getting in front of more people, playing in front of more people, having an opportunity to sell them things. The venue gets the advantage of having more people there to sell them things. But if you're talking about the dominance of, the venue over the musician or the musician over the venue, I guess what you're saying is that it depends on the band, right?
Yeah, there was a kind of a astounding situation here in the North Bay where a restaurant opened up in Pacifica, a brewery with food, and they had an outdoor concert venue, and they were paying the bands from $300 to $500, whether they had a draw or not. They were committed to we want to draw more people in from the community because they can come in and have a good time and there's music playing, and they felt that the music was worth that, which for local bands, without big draws, this was astounding. Oh, you're going to give me $300 to show up and play because I can't make that anywhere else unless I sell the place out. So that was whoever owns that club felt that the music was worth something, as you said, and they were willing to follow through and maybe take some, a little less profit off the dinners and the drinks that they were selling in order to put it into the music. Now, of course, COVID came and that stopped. So it wasn't enough. We don't have enough of a case study to go that, oh, hello, club owners across Northern California. If you pay musicians fairly, they will feel better about promoting it. People have a good time. And yes, you'll make you'll make a percentage less on your drinks and food, but you'll be building a community that hopefully will come out more regularly to your club.
Yeah. And I guess now, before COVID, artists kind of had negotiation skills, that were pretty standardized. How do you negotiate a good fee for playing a club or whatever? But now the economics is not, like we were talking about earlier, the economics is just not there without the people. So I wonder how that's going, if you're a booker, I wonder how that's going to affect the way that you negotiate for your bands to get them the gigs and get them paid fairly. Because, not everyone has, yesterday we had Steve, or 2 days ago we had Steve on with he's going on tour with Baldman, and they are self-financed. So they can just say we're going to play here, and we're going to provide the expense and see what happens, but what would you suggest to booking agents and people that self-book to negotiate a good fee in the post-COVID world with less people in the venue?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, first of all, that the Baldman thing is kind of amazing. It's crazy that he has the money to self-finance, because that takes, he's obviously paying the band out of his own pocket, paying the venue out of his own pocket, and whoever shows up, shows up. So that, I don't think, very few people can afford to do that type of thing. However, if you could afford to do that, there's probably a lot of venues who would be happy to have you.
Right.
But I just see, I don't see a bad guy here, but I think if a big band, a big tribute band, or a band that's a proven draw at a club when they could operate at 100%, now can only operate at 20 or 25%, I can't see that the booking agent at the club wouldn't go, I have to reduce your guarantee, 75%, because I can only, the most I can make in this club is 25% of what I made pre-COVID. So I can't pay you what we paid you before. Maybe, the other thing is, you can't sell everybody 10 drinks to make up for it, because, the club's liable. You can't have everybody in the club drunk completely, so maybe you do it with food, but not everybody goes out to a concert and wants to eat. A lot of people eat before the concert and then go, so I just don't see how you make up that revenue. So as a result, I think that, the fees are going to go down.
Yeah, maybe it's just a matter of like creating a perception in the community from the club owner's perspective that we're still here, and once we open up to full capacity, we we want you to know that we are here for you guys, and we want to provide you food and live music and that kind of thing. So maybe it's I'm trying to think of, like, assuming that's true, and I think it is. I wonder what an artist or a booking agent, someone that's trying to represent bands, like a manager or something like that. I wonder what kind of, maybe you could include that in your pitch, like if you're trying to get, maybe some clubs are not booking bands yet in your local community, right?
For sure. You're absolutely right.
So maybe what you could do, if you have venues, that you've played in the past, or that you'd like to play, maybe this is a good time to be the first person to come to that club owner and say, look, I'm going to solve a problem for you, and I'm going to provide music for your venue, on a Friday night or whatever, and I'll do it for it. I'm not going to do it for free. This is what I'm going to do it for, but I'll help you promote it and interface with the community so that your restaurant is going to be a known as a kind of tip of the spear. We're opening up now. We're going to do this now, and I don't know. I'm just trying to think of strategies and angles.
I know that a lot of club, we all know a lot of club promoters and bookers and stuff like that. And one of their many complaints about bands is that bands always lie about what their draw is. So,
Right.
If somebody came and offered what you offered, hey, I'm going to help you promote this in the community. If I was a smart club owner or a booking, I'd go, well, how are you going to do that? I'm on your Facebook page right now and you have 600 followers. So how are you going to make a big splash for me to let me know that I'm to promote my band as a tip of my club as a tip of the spear opening thing?
Well, I did like one thing that we talked about with Steve 2 days ago on Tuesday, is musicians in today's modern world have to have more skills than just being a musician.
Sure.
So, maybe like if you're good with Facebook ads or something that the owner is not good at when it comes to promotion, you could, like, let's say you're a good graphic designer, and you just use the free tools or whatever, but you have a good aesthetic, and I think you could possibly use your side skills to kind of help the clubs. And in doing so, that builds a good relationship with the club owners and the booking people, so that when COVID is open, you're going to be somebody that they're going to be a go-to person for when everyone hits the ground running with both feet. Yeah. So maybe this is just a time to go out there and build relationships with clubs, so that you have a good rapport with the people that make the decisions in the future. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that in the bands I'm in, some of the the managers have called the clubs, and some clubs aren't even answering. But actually, I'll take a little bit of a left turn here because I see that Toby, who's commenting here, said that low-key patio events are easing back to live entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually playing one of those shows on October 24th, but it's weird how, everybody has to be all in. Like, if the club's going to take a risk, the club's going to, spend the money to put a stage and a sound system out in their parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
But with this particular gig that I'm playing, they still haven't worked out whether, you're not going to get shut down by the cops for noise. The community, and whatever the community fathers or the board of supervisors or whatever you have, and they have to say, all right, well, we don't want Black Sabbath cranking everything up in the middle of downtown, but there's going to have to be a little bit of an allowance for, if we're going to let this thing back and we're going to let people congregate smartly outside, socially distanced, there's going to be some noise because you're not in the club but the door's closed, So it was just interesting because, before, when things first started opening up here in Northern California, I heard a lot about, there's two people playing acoustic guitar or something. Well, that's hardly any volume, no PA, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Now they want to get the rock bands in because they're exciting. Not that two acoustic guitar players aren't, but it's a different type of audience. But then you can't say, okay, you have to bring, a snare drum covered in bath towels and
Right.
down to like -6 in order to be able to play this show. Because that's not going to bring people up either. And I even struggled with this a little bit in rehearsal last night for the Surf Monster band that's doing this, because I can play drums soft, but it's surf music. There's a certain excitement when you're hitting kind of hard. You don't have to sit there and bash everything. So the whole experience changes if you are worried about a city or a county shutting you down to play an outdoor concert.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, like LA, I just read an article. LA is getting more specific about people gathering from multiple households. So like, I don't know if this is like, how sometimes you read articles and it's kind of like it's designed to get people upset, but when you read it, it's kind of like a little overstated. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe it's one of those articles. Go check it out, yourself, everybody. But they said that anybody singing, they're going to limit the gatherings to no more than 3 households, and no one's allowed to sing at the event. Musicians are allowed to be there, but no one's allowed to sing unless they're more than socially distanced from the people that they're singing to, and they have to distance themselves even more while wearing a mask. So they're actually saying that singers are going to have to wear masks in venues it's because they're worried about projection.
Sure.
And they said no horn players.
Well, they did have those 2 opera singers in Russia that got sick with COVID because they were singing on the same stage together. I also think that extends to Broadway musicals too, because if you go to a Broadway show and you're kind of in the front row, the projection that those musicians typically have, you can see spray coming out in the spotlight. So I assume that's probably not good in a COVID-19 world either. But it's funny because I did have, not an argument, but kind of not even a heated discussion, but just let's say a warmed up, a simmering discussion with a singer about wearing a mask while they sing. And they kind of weren't into it. And I said, I don't see what the big deal is. We talk with the masks on. There might be a bit of a breathing thing going on, but once again, you're not singing opera. If you're a rock singer, chances are you're probably breathing all wrong anyway. So a mask, I don't think it's going to compromise it that much. I doubt every rock singer does the breathe into the diaphragm thing. You're just getting out there and making it happen. Well, that's good. That's awesome.
But I'm opera trained, so
would you rather, as per the example you just stated, would you rather not sing for another year in a small club, or would you rather wear a mask? I mean, to me, that's like, I'd rather sing, right?
Yeah, it just kind of like, if you're trying to, one thing I have a lot of respect for all the workers out there, the essential workers that have to wear a mask while they perform their duties all day long, because it sucks. It's I did a little bit of Ubering recently, and they expect everyone in the car obviously to wear a mask, and it's just going for a 20-minute drive in a car is annoying. It's and it in a car, it affects your peripheral vision too, because you have this line going across your face, and so you can always see the mask in your peripheral vision. So when you're going to try to get over, it always messes you up, Yeah. But I think with singing, it's I mean, you'll get a lot of moisture in there. You'll get it's going to be hot because you're singing, blowing air. And I don't know, maybe they can make a special mask for singers. I wonder if that's an idea.
we should get on that. Well, I mean, the thing is, you don't want the spray coming out. I get that. So I don't know what it would be. But again, I think that if things get locked down, if COVID starts, rampaging through us once again, and even the politicians allow musicians to play indoor gigs that are socially distanced and not up to capacity. But, like you said, no horn players, and anyone who sings background vocals or lead vocals are going to have to wear a mask. That's kind of your choice as a band and an artist. Do you want to go out there, or do you, because, if it's a mandate, you either do it or you don't do it. You can't say, I'm not going to wear one, because that option's not open. And
well, what if you had a COVID test? So here's another thought. Okay. So, the rule is you go out in public, you have to be distant 6 feet. Mm-hmm. You have to wear a mask. But what if you had a COVID test and you were certified, COVID free for today, at least? I wonder if it was if you got in trouble and you didn't have a mask on and you were performing, but you had a valid COVID test, a day prior or the same day of the event. I wonder if you would actually get in trouble when it went to court, if they tried to fine you or make you,
Well, I mean, that's a good thought. Maybe you wouldn't even have to go to court. Maybe, but I mean, it would have to be one of those things where you got the COVID test, just before sound check,
right,
hours before the show. You went in the dressing room. You did not talk to anybody. You went in your. You kind of distance yourself from even the rest of the band, because who knows if someone in the band could be positive. But
sure,
if you did that, where it's like you took the test at sound check, you got that 15-minute test where you can hear about it that day, and then you immediately distance yourself and didn't talk to anybody until you stepped on stage again. Yeah, that could work out. But the minute you get back in a group, which means the band, the crew, the manager, the publicist, the person who brings the drinks down to the dressing room, all of a sudden that positive test doesn't mean shit anymore. So you have to really, police it, I guess.
Yeah, you might have to do the whole band, make the whole band COVID test. Yeah. But that's an expense. I mean, those tests, if you can even get your hands on them for private use, those tests are, $20 or $30 a piece cost at least, And if
you're a touring band, though, that once again we're getting back to you can actually charge a decent price, then and the whole band wanted not to have to wear a mask when they played, maybe that would be worth it. You know, you just add that to your fixed cost. We got 5 people in the band. It's $100 to test everybody every night. You know.
Yeah, and again, hopefully, I've heard rumors that we may have a immunization by the end of the year. So if they do that, obviously that's going to at least not so much fix the problem, but it's going to maybe ease some people's fears that, and obviously if we have a vaccination, it's going to, did I say immunization? I meant vaccination. If we have a vaccination, it's going to reduce COVID in culture because it's going to, less people are going to get exposed to it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, once again, what do we even know? I mean, there's so much we still don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do respect the people that are getting out there though. And if you guys are out there watching the show today and you or on YouTube later, or we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter. If you guys are out there and you see the show and you're trying to book shows right now, why don't you get back with us? Email us at kingdomofrockpodcast@gmail.com and tell us about your story. Maybe we can have you on the show to talk about it.
Yeah. Hey, Toby, if you're at your keyboard, where are you located and who's playing the Saturday night gig? And are you saying that band with the huge following is only going to be able to play for 20 people? We can wait for her to.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting one too. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I had a Encina. Okay, awesome. And what's the band, Toby? That's down by you, isn't it, Matt? Encina.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's about 40-minute drive, but it's it's LA close.
Okay, all right. But yeah, this I had a doctor's appointment today, and the doctor was even saying, because she knows I'm a musician, it's like, wow, what are you guys doing? What's going to happen? How do you play? I will not go out to a club. I won't even go. I'm too scared. This is a doctor talking, so it's kind of like, well, yeah, there's 2 things at play here. Well, more than 2 things, but the main 2 things are, if we play, will anybody come?
Yeah, but if the people in LA, the government in LA restricts the households like that, only 3 households are allowed to mingle, that's going to really make it impossible for venues to have shows, they're talking private parties, I believe. That's what it was. It was an article about private parties. But
somebody could still get married and have a reception as long as there was only 3 households involved.
Right. And they're allowed to have musicians there. If they sing, they have to cover their face, and they have to be minimum socially distanced, but they have to put a little extra space in between them and the audience so they don't spray. The days of the lead singer drinking a bottle of water and spitting it up in the air like a rock star, those days are over, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be tough for what we musicians do for their shows too, because that's a good point. If the rock star stuff is sometimes annoying and sometimes fun, but
yeah.
But I can imagine if you're an audience member and you're going to watch a band who, let's say, worst case scenario, is going to be all masked up and not moving around too much, and they haven't rehearsed that much, so they're a little rusty. And is that really worth spending $25 to $50 for? Because your experience. Because I'm risking going out in public. I'm risking going out in X the unknown. Will I get sick if I visit this club indoors? I have to trust the people who are there that they're not going to get drunk and try to get too close to me, or they're just jerks and try to get too close to me. Yeah. With all that, and then I'm going to go see a band and it's going to be like, they kind of weren't that tight. They weren't that exciting.
Yeah.
Because if that happens, where I think the public starts going, this isn't fun for us, then doesn't matter what the music community wants to do, no one's going to go out.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty early. So mostly I do like the idea of, like when Steve was talking about, they're just going out to kind of promote the record. They're not expecting anything from it. And
the horror film.
Yeah, and the horror film. And it's like, if a lot of people can't afford to do that and not expect anything from it still,
Yeah,
so,
but that might be kind of where we're at, though, where it's like,
yeah,
it's no secret that certainly a lot of people in the tribute band community, and even maybe not so much younger people, but like more mature artists who are doing original music, they've got jobs. So it's kind of like they're not really depending so much on whatever gate they can get from a club. They're kind of doing it for promotion. It's a marketing expense. You want to get more followers on Facebook. You want to sell your music. So you just go out and you get your $7 or whatever it is, but it's worth it if you can get a couple more people on your mailing list, or a couple of people who are checking you out. So it may be that small versions of what Bald Man is doing ends up. Like, I might have to go, maybe I'll look for a small club that's not active at the moment. Tell them I will give them $500 to open up minimally. I'll hire security. We'll guarantee only 20 or 25 people, like what Toby's saying. And I'll basically promote the show. And the benefit you get is you can open your bar and sell a few drinks, and maybe it's only an hour or 2 hours a night. Is it worth it for your crew? Because keeping bartenders on during this time and is probably difficult. So at least anybody, check with your staff and see if anybody wants to show up for 2 hours, make a few bucks, blah blah blah. And then if that works, if somebody is like us, where it's like, we really want to get people coming out again. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. or Mrs. Club owner, you're into that too? Great, let's partner. I'm willing to write a check for that. I'm willing to take a chance that, this is going to be worth it for me and worth it for you. And, obviously if you sell all kinds of stuff at the bar and you're in profit, well, maybe you could share a little bit of that back to me because, but otherwise I'll write the check, I'll write the check.
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, we're all trying to figure this out, and, none of us have the answers. So, we're here to, bring people on the show and try to keep you guys informed about what's going on out there, what people are trying to do. So anytime you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, you can email us at kingdomofrockpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to get back to you. It's if we can help you, we'll point you in the right direction.
And as you've said many times too, Matt, we do have a community here, so it's not crazy to think that bands or musicians in the Kingdom of Rock community could send us emails, Kingdom of Rock Podcast at Gmail, and maybe we put together a parking lot concert of our own somewhere, down by Matt in Southern California or whatever, and do it right ourselves. We might be able to get 8 bands on a Saturday day, like noon to 5 or something, and just kind of scream into the heavens, like, we're not going to let this stop us. Have kind of a, Kingdom of Rock celebration of live music ain't dead yet kind of thing. It's always possible.
I like that idea, actually. Maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, I mean, right, so if you're out there and you have a band, or if you're a solo artist, maybe start emailing us, and we'll see if we can come up with something. If you've been managing to rehearse and you think you're ready to have a live show in a month or so, let us know. The good thing is, in Southern California, the weather's usually always awesome. So, it's not like it's going to typically rain during the day. So you're probably going to be okay to have a daytime concert, even if it's in November or December. So
yeah, the homeless problem in California is for one major reason, because the weather's nice. So it certainly is a the climate is always open to being outdoors 24 hours a day, almost 90% of the time. So
we got on the idea. So thanks to we got one person supporting here.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's do it. All right. Well, we're gonna call it for today. Mike, did you have any closing thoughts?
No, I just think, as you said, the Kingdom of Rock podcast isn't just for us to have cool people on, although that's awesome. That's one reason we do it. Or it's not for, Matt and I, because we love just putting our faces in front of a camera and talking. It is a way for all of us, the entire community of musicians, to figure out ways to help each other and move forward during this thing.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to need to figure stuff out. And as Matt said, we're kind of learning as we go. Because let me just share this in closing. Steve, on Tuesday, said a very interesting thing that's kind of scary. All of the 2020 concerts have been moved to 2021. So if you're a new artist looking for a venue or a tour in 2021, you're going to have to fight all of the gigs that got rescheduled in 2020. So we may have to we may have to put our brains together and figure out a way that we can still get out there and gig, even if a lot of venues are closed due to rescheduling 2020 concerts. So
the answer to that is going to be people making new ways to have their own venues, whether it's an outdoor, renting a parking lot, getting a bunch of like a coalition of bands. And if you guys have a band coalition in your area, we'd love to hear about that too. Where just go. One way you could do it is you could have like a musician town hall in your city. Okay, here's a suggestion: do a musician town hall in your city. Get a bunch of bands involved promoting it, and then all get together and have a meeting. It could be in Zoom if you wanted to, and put together your own music festival for your community. Like, anybody can do that. It's not that hard. You just have to coordinate all the pieces with your back end and your getting the promotion out there and all that stuff. But I mean, if you get about 10 bands together from your local city, you guys could all put together your own thing. And then you're going to be the leader, and that's going to put you in a good situation too, because everyone's looking for somebody to just go out there and do it. It might as well be you,
Yeah. Just try to do it legally. Because, back in my day when punk rock couldn't really play anywhere, we did all kinds of DIY, surprise pop-up concerts where it wasn't really legal. We'd be in a warehouse somewhere, or a bar that wasn't supposed to have music and stuff. But it can be done. And I think that, the community I was in back then just found ways to figure it out. Sometimes you got shut down, sometimes you didn't. Today I think you can do it where you can probably do it without the risk of having the police show up. So figure it out, be safe, do it right, And
it's funny, like back in the 80s, if you were to tell me that I would be sitting here with a punk rock guy who's telling you to not break the rules, I would have laughed about it. But the truth is, people's lives are at stake, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the punk thing for me was definitely about breaking rules, but it was still about respecting the community. And, you don't respect your community if you put the risk that people are going to get sick. So, yeah. And you also don't respect your community if you take over someone's property and just decide to put a concert on. I mean, that's not groovy either. So, but there are ways to do this, and we're all going to put our heads together, right, Matt? We're all going to put our heads together.
It's like we're saying, now don't break the rules, but maybe you could do that.
Yeah. Like, you can bend them. That's all.
Yeah, you can bend them. Yeah. Think like a pirate, but act like a pastor of a church or something. I don't know. Somebody that's going to look out for people, but figure out your own unique way to make it happen for your community. So,
I don't know who's out there. I want to thank Toby for keeping us going on the comments. That's awesome. Thank you. Toby, whoever else is listening out there. We're serious. Let's figure this out. Don't just sit on your little hiney and say stuff will get taken care of by someone else, because that's not going to happen. It's going to have to come from us. So more power as a group, dudes and dudettes. Let's make it happen.
Peace.
Where's my hand? My hand disappeared again.